United States Senate, your United States Senate, hasn't passed a budget in more than 1,000 days. Now, in the last year of his present term, President Obama has yet to see any budget he submitted get passed by Congress. Our next guest is a bold proponent of limited government, a small business owner working hard in his first term as a United States Senator to bring change to Washington before it brings any change to him, the way it's changed so many idealists before him. We welcome back to Freedom Watch, good friend of the show, Republican Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, always a pleasure. Welcome here.
Well, Judge, thanks for having me on.
What are the chances that the president's budget will be scrutinized by the Senate and by the House and actually make it into law for the first time during Barack Obama's presidency?
Well, we're going to be scrutinizing it. Whether it actually gets brought up on the floor of the Senate, I believe Leader McConnell has vowed to bring it up. I think the more relevant question is the Budget Committee in the Senate going to do its job, its work, and actually pass a resolution out of the committee by April 1st, and then will Senator Harry Reid make sure that we actually pass a budget. Debate one, craft one, and pass a budget by April 15th, as we are required by law to do. He indicates that he sees no reason to do that, which I think is just a national scandal.
One of your colleagues, Senator Jim DeMint from South Carolina, was on earlier in the show, and he made the argument that it is very difficult, nearly impossible, to compromise with people whose values, whose judgments, and whose goals are diametrically opposed to yours. One of the president's goals is to increase debt service, to fund entitlements through borrowing. You understand, as a small businessman, how that could lead us to what Greece looks like tonight. How do you compromise with an attitude like that?
Well, it's very difficult, Judge. They aren't even willing to acknowledge the problem, much less work with us in good faith to solve the problem. And that's, I've been here a year now, and that's what I sadly witnessed last year, was this president failing to lead, failing to work with us in good faith to start solving the problems, when, truthfully, folks on the Republican side, we want to solve the problem. We're willing to work with anybody who's willing to sit down and actually put forward real solutions. This president's not doing that. Take a look at this budget. They're claiming it's going to reduce the deficit by $4 trillion. But yet, in his last budget, he was going to spend $46 trillion over 10 years.
Right.
This budget spends $47 trillion. Where's the cuts? There aren't any. It's all smoke and mirrors. It is budget gimmickry. It's sad. It's unfortunate.
Senator, I think you're actually being kind to the president. He has zero credibility, in my view, when it comes to spending less. Let's see. When he was inaugurated, the total federal government debt, correct me if I'm wrong, was about $10 trillion. In about 6 months, it will be about $16 trillion. When, how, under what circumstances, and by whom does he ever expect that to be paid back? Will we reach a point where our debt service is so crushing that we can't provide entitlements to people who have planned their lives expecting to receive them when they enter their senior years?
And you'll notice the president's budget is silent on what really is this financial crisis that's looming outside this budget window, which is Social Security and Medicare. We actually want to save those programs. But, Judge, as a business person, if I hired somebody to come in to a business that's losing money, and that manager said, listen, I'll cut the loss in half after 4 years. First of all, I'd say it's going to take you 4 years. But secondly, when 4 years have passed and the loss is every bit as large as it was when I hired him, you know what I'd do to that individual? I'd fire him. And that's what the American people need to do with President Obama, send him packing.
Got it. Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Judge.